Exactly. It's even better when the kids know every word.
That's cool.
My husband loves 80s music, so they know a lot of songs.
Yeah. My parents weren't that cool.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, no, don't be offended, like Prince Boys,
Mhm.
Indian Murray,
Mhm.
you know, which I know the words to their songs by but it's not like rock and roll. Or,
Right.
You know.
My 2-year-old's favorite song is "We Will Rock You."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cloud.
Uh-huh.
He loves it.
Yeah.
He said
Yeah.
over and over and over.
There was not the cool factor. Yeah.
Mhm. I thought I was a really good mom when I got my kids to get to request in sync on Alexa. I was very excited. I graduated in mothering at that point. And my mom and daddy always used to listen to like Frank Sinatra and
That's cool.
all that. So we all know those songs.
That's not Anne Murray.
I know, it definitely is not. Definitely is not.
Susan, were you able to figure out how to access our calendar? No.
I mean, it's usually like a daily email,
Right.
isn't it? Okay. I
Normally I sync that calendar to your KW email calendar, but since you use something else, I can't do that. So that's gonna be the easiest way. You should be getting text messages too, but
I am getting that.
okay.
Sometimes things go to spam, so I'll check, but I
Yeah, it should be
think,
My Market Center
yeah,
Daily Digest.
right,
That'll be the easiest way for you.
okay. Yeah, I think I'm getting there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Smells good. It's a shocker.
Good morning, Christy. How are you? Yeah, because when you say yes,
Then we just start.
back in black.
I know. Start the process. Okay. Okay. Think the following Friday, is that okay or?
Yeah. Check my calendar. Oh, wait, that's productivity week.
Oh, that's right.
So that scavenger hunt is 1:30 to 12:30.
Works.
I do have a golf lesson too.
Nice.
I'm like, I was gonna learn to play golf.
Did you get my message about the map?
That's good.
The shred and purge map that we're sending to our clients still has electronics and paint on it.
She almost have to.
Not usually, because I was very.
And I tried to edit it, I couldn't.
Yeah.
It
He's
is,
like, because you're doing this.
and
I'm
I'm-
like,
So just heads
are you
up.
doing some gym stuff on the Thursday?
That whole thing is a mess.
Yes, it sounds like it.
The Angela is sending everything, I just.
Yeah.
And it's the old version.
Yeah.
Well, I went ahead and edited the accepted, not accepted, and moved paint down to the not accepted, because electronics was already down there, but I couldn't edit that map. So I'm just gonna draw my own and send it to my guys. It's going out today. It's gonna be very. Well, I don't know if we could print it maybe and do whiteout
I'll look at it.
and then rescan it up to everybody and have them resend it out.
Yes.
You're right.
Yeah.
So.
I'll look at it when I get back.
Thank you.
She called me back a few hours later.
I'm not, but I just brought my car.
Yes, I picked
Maybe shift.
Can't find anything under really bad.
There's a lot of hills.
I wish I could. Maybe unincorporated, maybe.
Yes.
Oh, boy, she can find that. That's so crazy. Well, it may be in some lower price points, but I've got like 4 people that need something between 1.2 and 1.5, and they can't find it. Decatur. This was like $1 million price, like, where do you want me to,
Michelle Myers.
Hello, hi, now next to you?
Sure.
Nice to meet you.
I
Yes,
know.
she's worried about me.
I know.
He's related to me at this point.
Yes.
Make her a hail, said yes, sir, but he said, well, good luck with that.
Oh, yeah, do. Very good. No,
Good morning.
Good.
Good, what about you?
Well, you look very
Good
familiar to me.
morning.
I have lived in East Cobb forever.
Yeah.
Good. There you go.
Yes, happy to be here. He's good now.
As a matter of fact, I don't show property anymore than I do when it's when it's really good friend.
Yeah.
And so I shared one of your lists.
Sometimes it's good to be tough.
About a month
Have tough
ago.
love.
Where was it?
I really
It's
do.
over in Smyrna. It's a really
Oh,
good-
yeah. Cute house.
Isn't it
interesting how
Dialogue.
Yeah.
Sink in from one
So-
person.
I'm impressed I did that.
I know, but and who I talked to.
Ashley. Yeah. Good.
She was
Good.
really responsive.
Or Sarah Kay.
No,
Ashley was the agent, Sarah Kay, my listener.
I just sent the email
I
out
spoke to
saying,
her, so, although
well, you know me, I'm so
she
shy.
didn't end up getting that, she lost.
Yeah. Sure, yeah. I think there was like
Are we live?
12 offers with that.
Good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started.
Music, German.
What a great day this is. Nina, Nina,
Hello.
welcome. Somebody give me some good news. Somebody you think this is really good news. Introduce yourself.
Oh, is that a good
You can
news?
be our good news.
That's a good news. We have, they just joined us from a different office. So
I did. I'm Susan Fraley, and I'm thrilled to be here. This is my 39th year in real estate. I'm not gonna quit.
That's awesome.
Says, "Well, I've got to have someone that's been in real estate now officially a year longer than me, but what month did you join? In '83.
July.
And I joined in December of '83. And so just not much longer.
Someone beat you, Jim.
Anyway, so we welcome you, and I love when took your interview with us. She said, I like the energy here. And I love what a kind thing to say. So it's all good. So, anybody else have got some good news that they want to share?
2 days are really big day,
The what?
right, women?
Yeah.
Happy
International
International
Women's
Women's
Day.
Day.
Oh, International Women's Day.
Women's Day.
I was gonna ask you, was that English or Spanish? Anyway, International Women's Day. I love it. Okay, is that?
Yes, I have a great news. I am so blessed. We purchased our second investment property this month.
I'm gonna repeat what Arthur's told me.
Oh my God, what?
And I can't verify that, but we got a great week next. What is next week? Anybody remember what it is? Week of productivity. Dr. White, we've got an amazing, we're gonna talk about this. We have a guy coming whose name is Ryan Butler. He's coming from the DC area. And according to Arthur's information, he and his team bought 100 doors last year. Now that means 100 rental places. Now, some of those are multi-family type deals, but they bought 100 doors last year. And your question should be, wait a minute, how do they do this in this market? You think the market in DC is any worse than it is here? No, but they found 100. Now they're all over the country. They don't buy just in DC, but they bought 100 doors last year. And I cannot wait for Ryan to stand up here next Thursday and tell us how he did that while he sold $150 million worth of real estate.
I want to come to that.
Yeah, come on. It's just got, how do you do that? Good morning, Eric. How's my grandson?
He's awesome.
That's my good news right here.
Huh?
Good news.
I'm
He's
back.
back.
Let's see my hand. So anyway, guys, so we're looking for, we'll talk more about the week of productivity. Guys, this will be our 10th week of productivity. Guys, I'm looking forward to having a really good calendar here, and we'll check more about that in a few minutes. Anybody in TV land has something they want to share that's good news?
Terry Berner said the good news is that Anna is here.
Hey,
Terry Berman says the good news is Anna's here. Yay, Anna.
Love you.
Yeah, her name is Anna Kalinsky. Y'all see somebody else whose last name is Kalinsky?
Yeah.
You have no clue. Exactly right. Yeah. So Anna, welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Where do you live, Anna?
I'm in town, Atlanta.
And how long did you get here?
30 minutes.
Cool. What take you to come from behind, which is cool. All right, welcome, Anna. We'll talk about a little bit more about her a bit later. Anybody else has some good news they want to share with us this morning? Come on, somebody in TV land, speak up. Besides Terry Berger.
I'll speak up. It's
Thank
Liz
you, Liz.
Cohen. It's Liz Cohen. Something
Go
good
ahead,
is
Liz.
people are actually getting their houses ready. My photographer is backed up. That means people are going to start listing houses slowly, trickle. Thank you, Lord.
I agree with you on that. Speaking of that, and hear what I'm saying. So my 25-year-old wash machine died last weekend. 25 years. So when it dies, okay, I time stop fixing and get a new one. The good news is I can get it in about a week.
Yeah.
Now, someone tell me why that's good news. Why is that good news?
Yeah.
Exactly right. The supply chain is doing better, guys. So I'm gonna be able to have in my house, according to what they tell me, by this time next week, guys, which is cool. So guys, that's good because for a while, how long did it take you to wash your dryer?
9 months.
6 months. So
It took my
guys,
parents a year to get a refrigerator.
Yeah.
say it again.
It took my in-laws a year to get a
Get a refrigerator.
refrigerator.
Wow. Anyway, guys, I'm thrilled that that supply chain working better. We'll talk more about that. Let us move on. Our partners. Where's Carrie? I think she's done at Sea Island or St. Simons. So Carrie, if you're down at Sea Island, St. Simons, you should invite all of us also. So wait, hold a second. Come on, Mike.
Good morning, Keller Williams.
Good morning. Good morning. Buenos dias.
Thank you. We love you, Silverton. We love you back. Supreme landing time. So I'm Jeff Hart.
I'm Camilo or Milo.
Milo Escandon. You're Milo, right?
Milo like Milo. No?
Supreme, Thomas and Brown and Silverton are sponsoring the event, the happy hour on March 16th. So over at 10 Lindsay's, please come join us. 5:30 to 7:30.
Hey, tomorrow is the day. C3, C class. Tomorrow, I'm gonna send the RSVP. If you're interested, I'm gonna share that with you as well. But it's called Fundamental of Credit. These days, you know how it is, the rates are going up a little bit. And when you have a low, and when I say low, 640, 650, you might have some adjustment into the rate. So this is very important for you to have a conversation with your clients, okay? Understand about credit. There is so many ways to help your clients to increase the score so they can have a more beneficial rate. You know, we don't want just to take the application and say, hey, this is what you have, but also to let them understand what you can do in order to improve your credit and get a much better deal. So this is Fundamental Credit. It's a C3 class tomorrow. Don't miss it. 1 to 4. Okay, it's virtual.
The lady that's presenting it, Lisa Myers, is entertaining. I mean, she's great. She speaks directly to you. She doesn't give you a lot of terms that you're not going to follow. So this is just well worth it. And then on March 24th, I'm really excited about this. Who's read The Energy Bus, right? John Gordon. So we've got him 3 p.m. March 24th in a live feed. The no complaining rule. So we've got a slogan at Supreme complacency is the enemy of best, complaining is the arch enemy of best, right? So as long as you're complaining, you can't be best. Anyway, John Gordon is great, he's dynamic. So please join us March 24th at 3 p.m. And before that, as far as the week of productivity, you know that Kimberly's done a great job of putting together the scavenger hunt on Friday, right? And we're gonna have the paddy wagon there. Paddy wagon, y'all remember last year? Paddy wagon. So.
There's beer on the paddy wagon.
I'm sorry.
There's beer on the paddy wagon.
Paddy wagon is, they'll get here around 11:15, set up, start cooking around 11:30. And, you know, hot dogs, hamburgers, we'll have some veggie burgers for those that prefer that and are more healthy. Oh, I had a Beyond Meat sausage this morning. We have, my nieces are in town, they came to town last night on the way back from a concert, and they're all vegan, right? And so, you know, we had Beyond Meat. The burger was good, the sausage is just not. It's okay.
You're gonna say it was awesome.
It's okay. It's okay. It's not, but anyway, but so we'll have that alternative on, and that's Friday the 18th. So looking forward to everybody being there.
Yes, beer is gonna be there. Cervezas, yes. Yeah.
Great. Y'all have any questions about the market? Any? Come on, you can come up with something tough. Jump the loan officer. Yes, sir.
Forecast for the next 6 months where you think rates are going to be.
Yeah. So yeah, if I was right about that forecast, I would be wealthy.
Nothing that's going to be a line in the sand. Just what does your gut tell you?
Yeah, so I think by the end of this year, we could easily be at 5 to 5.5, right?
I was thinking
We've got
the next-
7.5% inflation.
Yeah.
And with oil prices, I just don't, I mean, you gotta realize oil is in everything. Oil is in these glasses, oil is in our clothes, oil is in everything. And we're gonna have inflation. It's you know, and so, and you can't have 4% interest rates.
Yeah.
And 7% inflation. It just doesn't work. So interest rates are, you know, I don't think they'll be above 5.5 over the next year. I think that's, but I would expect the 10-year treasury to be around 3.5, and so mortgage rates to be around 5.5.
I disagree with you 100%. I've been hearing that for years. It's gonna go up, guys. And with our economy right now, I don't see our federal government doing that. I could be wrong, but I've been in business for how many years? 39?
Longer than I.
Exactly what you're still in diapers right now. Because I don't see what happens. I don't see our federal government being willing to have something. Could you be right 100%? I just don't see that.
I don't think it'll be above 5.5. The federal government will help, but
because they're talking about what, about how much, what they're talking about right now. You might know, 0.25%.
Yeah.
0.25% what they're talking about right now, guys. I don't think they have the stomach to do more than that. I don't think they do. So even if it might be good for our economy, I don't think they have the stomach to do it.
And still the Russian Ukrainian conflict has slowed down a little bit that increase on rates. So we don't know what's gonna happen with them.
But China did say yesterday that if the United States got into the equivalent of the NATO pact for the Pacific Rim, that actually might be another thing, and everything that isn't made with oil might be made in China. So who knows how that'll actually play out.
But what I can tell you is I've been in this business for 15 years and I've seen the up and downs. Higher rates, lower rates, higher rates, lower rates. And for those of you who've been in the business for that long, you understand you have to adapt to the market and look for different ways to work. So I come from a country that always we blame the government, saying like, the government, the president, blah, blah. And at the end, it's up to us to work it out. I mean, we cannot control so many things, you know, but we can adapt ourselves to the market, to changes in the markets. And work it out, and that's why we're still here.
But 4.5 or 5.5, that's how this is selling real estate.
No.
100%.
What's been the average, 6 or 6.5?
yeah, the 30-year average is a little over 6, so 6.25, and then gosh, I remember when rates hit 6% in like 2001.
I remember when they were 14.5%.
Right, that was a big deal. Yeah.
Yes. We'll have a bet on that. How much you want to bet? $1 or $2?
How about $2 if they
Come
go
on,
to
100.
5? and then-
But you said 5.5, you'll stay in the gap or not?
I'll do over on 2.5.
I said 5.5. 4.5%, you say 5, we'll see. All right, guys, any other questions? We can move on. Let's give them a hand, guys. Thank you, guys. I want for the closing company. Come on up, Kim. You've been here longer than I've been here, Kim.
Thank you, Jim.
I didn't say real estate longer, I said here longer, so let's.
Yeah, well, not real estate longer, but for a long time. Many of you know that we provide contract and close services for real estate agents here. And what I thought I'd do today is provide a little peek behind the curtain at the closing company. This might even be interesting to some of our clients here in the room. There's a question that people don't usually ask me, and they might want to ask me, which is, Kim, why do you all charge more money than other companies? So I thought I would answer that today.
Okay.
So one of the things is expertise, and the other answer is people. So about expertise, we've been in the business for 17 years. So like, let's say Kelly Allen or Paige Morgan, we have had time to perfect our systems. We've had a lot of years to do that. And one thing that's always been important to me is having the very best transaction management system. I got to tell you, over the years, I've tried just about everything. I haven't liked most of them. So what I finally had to do was have an engineer customize some software for us. And I think what that does, besides give us exactly what we want, is that provides a really even the best experience for you and your clients, during the contract and close process. Now, the other thing that we do at the closing company is we pay top dollar for top talent. I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's all about people. And you all know out there that everybody wants to hire our people. It's a fact. So what we do is we compensate differently than other companies. For example, right now, we're looking to hire a transaction coordinator. We're offering a very competitive salary plus bonus, plus health insurance, plus 401k. And I really think that offering this type of security to someone attracts the very top people who are out there looking for jobs, rather than other compensation systems that you might see out there. And the other thing that we do is we look for people with experience. So to join the closing company, we're looking for at least 3 years of real estate experience. That can be at a closing attorney's office, that can be with a real estate team, that can be an agent who didn't like to sell. Some of you out there might know Laura McCollum. She used to be an agent here, hated lead generating, awesome with details, super friendly, joined our company in 2020 and has become a rock star.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I was about to say thank you. I mean, and Authorine hooked us up with her because she happens to know what's going on out there. And so, really for us, that's what it's about. It's expertise and people. And I just want to thank this office. You guys have been supporters of ours from the very beginning. We have some clients here at this office and agents who've been with us for over 10 years. And I think that's awesome. And we just look forward to providing you with first-class, top-notch contract to close services for many years to come. So any questions out there for us?
I remember when you
Yes,
were back there.
Right? I used to sit in this glass office over here, they call the fishbowl,
Yeah.
and take phone calls in the stairwell. Yeah, that's fun. Yes.
You still have no plans to do listing transaction. I missed that. That was
Yeah.
really good.
Do you listing what?
Do a listing coordinator, to set up listings. That was-
What you call it, do what?
Dream listing?
Right.
What was it called? The dream listing that you used to call it?
We used to do listings, yeah.
Yeah, what it was, you used to label it something. It was like the dream
There's
listing.
heaven,
Oh, the heaven, oh, my bad.
the heaven package.
The heaven package. Nice.
Yeah.
Kim, what do you not do from the contract to close process?
Really, the only things we don't do is we don't negotiate. We don't do an amendment to address concerns. But if you can have, a simple amendment like reduce the closing costs or, the purchase price or any kind of extensions, all those other kind of things, we'll prepare them, send them out for signatures and follow up on when we get it's.
Do you charge us if the deal falls apart?
We don't. Thank you for asking that. As a matter of fact, we don't charge unless it closes. And we charge $200 for cash transactions if there's no lender to follow up with. So, you know, that could mean a lot to you out there because I know there's a lot of cash deals right now.
I want to just vouch for you.
Aw.
Y'all are awesome.
That was a very long time, from back in the day.
Back in the day.
Thank you very much. You guys have been so awesome to us. I love this office and you'll have a great day.
It's a broker that I've known for a long time, and he is a broker at another prestigious company. Obviously, that's where he is from. He called me. He said, "Jim, I said, tell me the problem." He said, "Well, my buyer, my agent's buyer just got out of this deal." And he got out of the deal. I said, "Okay, I want to hear about that." He said, "The other deal, of course, there was no contingent on having any type of inspection or any type of due diligence because they want to do what? Buy the house." But he said, but what we decided to have the deal because he found out that he could not use it for an Airbnb. It was an investment property." I said, "Okay, tell me more." He says, "Well, it said in the FMLS that there was no rent restrictions. And so he gets earnest money back." And I went, "Really? So why do you think I told him he does not get earnest money back? What do you think I told him?"
And the FMLS listing say this is to our best of our knowledge and you can't be held
Yes.
responsible for this information.
It's not warranted.
Or it's not part of the contract. Yeah, you don't make an exhibit in the contract. Now, if you do make an exhibit in the contract, then aren't you all acknowledging that that information is correct?
And again, that's a legal thing. Which one overrides which one? But I mean, that's part of the contract. Or that it says you cannot count on this to be liable. Then that wonderful part in the contract that says, by the way, we don't know anything about anything.
Yeah.
Well, we're idiots when it comes to that kind of stuff. You can't rely on us, this kind of stuff, so guys. So I had to point out to this broker, say, "Well, I hear what you're saying, but you know, it was not part of the contract. If you want to know if it was, could be an Airbnb, what should they have done?
Call the, yeah.
No, either due diligence
Call
or
the
do what?
HOA, call the condo manager.
Is that right? Or put it in the contract. So they did not do that. And he said, "But I said," he said, "So we can't count on it." You're asking that question. No, you can't count on that because it's not part of the
Contract.
contract. I'm amazed when brokers call me after this. I'm like, that's like an easy question to answer because if it's not in the contract, it does not exist.
This was definitely a condo.
Pardon me?
This was definitely a condo.
Townhouse?
Or it was they had an HOA.
It was a house, I think, actually.
City of
It was actually a
Atlanta?
house. I don't understand that question.
Are you guys starting to see Airbnb restrictions here in County County?
Yeah.
Atlanta is just passed legislation that you have to now go get a permit. They've kind of stated the law and they've not enforced it yet, but they're basically coming down the pipe with that. So
Just
just
partner out on a couple of Airbnbs, not in Atlanta, but we welcome that because that means that we know that not everybody can do it and there's a rate to go through, so we're actually happy about it, believe it or not. So it's actually, we think it's a good thing, guys, that someone's gonna say, well, you can't just put up a room in your basement and call it a what? Airbnb, which is great, guys. And thank you, Kim, for coming this morning and sharing the Y4C2Ts. Anna, which is your favorite of the Y4C2Ts this morning?
I'm a big fan of success through people.
All right, tell me what you mean by that.
Well, I spent 5 hours at family reunion talking about leverage and that we can't do things alone. You can max out where you are in your personal leverage and there'll only be so much time and so much energy and so much of you. And we do more together. You know, if you have a star team and not just a team of stars, you guys can collaborate and find that 1 + 1 = 10. I know that being a single agent in this business is probably the hardest job that there is. So hats off to you all that are single agents. And you got to pour to your people. You give them what you want, they'll get you what you want.
We're not talking about that one a while. That was a really good one. Thank you for doing that. That's a great one. Together we do more together. I like that. Thank you, Ellen. Moving on. Loving on listing winners, brand new agent category. You want to talk about this, Arthur?
I do next week. Next week, because we had 2 or 3
And we're gonna have to decide what we do with those prices. Same thing with the teas. So next week.
All right. So for lunch with Michelle, and she will buy lunch for you, okay? Who in here can tell us which Keller Williams office has listed the most property units? Who can tell me?
Our office.
Exactly right, guys. You're great. We listed more houses than anybody else has. And why do you think that's true? Because we do what? Focus on listings. From the first day of the year, we focus throughout the whole year. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Congratulations.
Yeah, we do that well. What you focus on does what, Michelle?
Comes true.
It's-
I'm just gonna throw something different out there today.
Just because you can't remember, that's okay.
No, no.
I will win the
Welcome to my world, Michelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, anyway, Lev Arthur and Johnson, real estate conversation regions, because I'm gonna ask somebody questions very quickly, okay? Get off your phone. Why do you go to this? Because it's just for new agents. Why do you go to the lead generation thing on Monday and Wednesday? Why do you go?
Well, I am not a new agent, but I really need that one to keep me focused and make my goals. And the only way that I can keep that kind of energy that I need to make my goals is attending those days. And it's, I mean, the result has great, excellent, I would say that. And I mean, I love it because every day there is some words that I can learn from the scripts for a different agents, even though they are new. But sometimes authoring brings another agents that they are great on scripts, so I can get some more words from them as well.
Thank you for sharing. Guys, if you're out there right now and you're thinking, oh, Jim, that's such a new agent thing. No, it's not. There's someone in my 20% that decides she wants to come every Monday and Wednesday. Matter of fact, we had a meeting after we needed to have, and she stepped out of that event, not really wanting to, but to come join us in our meeting. So anyway, thank you so much for that. And guys, this is wonderful. Monday and Wednesday, get inspired, have someone hold you accountable, come to this on Monday and Wednesdays. It'll bless you. Group coaching, command your commissions, taught by Carrie Qualters. Carrie is our secret weapon. She is amazing, guys. If you're not using command, you are leaving some business on the table. It's not complicated. If you think it doesn't work, then you don't know what's going on with Keller Williams. Guys, come hear this March the 9th from 11 to 12. Group coaching. Productivity week. Now, I'm going to turn off this just because I don't spend a minute on this, guys. This is something that only our office does. We do this every single year. The guy just realized this is something we're running in to make you more what? Productive is the answer, okay? All right, so on Monday, there's going to be a KW Atlanta perimeter agent, Tony. Tell us about Tony.
So, and I wanted to bring in 3 different agents with 3 different stories so you guys could hear. And this is not just for new agents on Monday, right? So Tony was a dual agent, went through a divorce that almost bankrupted him. He worked 80 hours as a bartender, plus doing real estate. He worked his plan, and so he had an exit plan in place. And now he's one of the top agents in that office and on the ALC. So he has a fantastic story to tell. I also have Emily Peckham, who I've talked about a lot, who her very first year sold 36 properties, 30 of which were Fisbos. The backstory behind that is that Emily suffers from depression and most days can't even hold her head up, right? The third story I wanted you guys to hear is this young man who was a corporate young man who got fired because he was doing real estate and they found out. So last year he closed 11.5 million in his first year, right? And actually did it in 7 months, because the first 4 months, nothing. So I want you guys to come get your inspiration from next week. And then for God's sakes, go put in the perspiration. If you tell me you're doing this for your family, like I did with 4 little babies at home, and it was truly part-time for me, then show up for your family. You have everything in this office. Every time I get the opportunity, thank you, sir, to stand here, I'm gonna say it until I'm a broken record. You have everything in this office that you need to be successful. Just tune in to this scripts and role play. Now we've got the relief program. with the boot camp, come find Michelle, me, Jim, anybody. Come get your inspiration and go put in the perspiration. Okay?
I love that you're passionate about that.
I am
Let's
very
give her a hand,
passionate
y'all. And, she's gonna talk more about how she grows her business, continue to grow her business, is now becoming a group because she works on her database regularly. She'll talk about that. And then on Wednesday, Michelle, you want to talk about yours?
Well, we have got 3 agents. We're going to do 3 ways to work smarter, not harder. And we focus on the 3 things that make our business: leads, listings, and leverage. So what we're doing is showing you 3 different ways to do so. Either through the program, which is the LIFT program that is now introduced, through a team, should you wish to grow to a team level, and then to an independent or solo agent. So I promise you'll walk away with some ahas from that, and you'll be able to pick their brains as well.
Great. So guys, whether you're individual, whether you're a team, whether you're a group, come and you'll learn more. Remind you again about Silverton Supreme, Thomas and Brown, 10 Lizzie's. That's going to be a fun time, 5:30 to 7:30. And I'm reminding you again about the DC Coalition Group. Agent Ryan Butler is going to be flying in to be with us. Guys, that's another amazing thing that I can't get over. So our thing told me about when I called and he said, I'd love to come to your office and speak. I went, from DC? Sure, you're going to zoom in? No, I want to come. I want to come hang out with you guys. You guys, he is out there giving back. So well, guys, so put that on your calendar. Then on Saturday, we're going to finish it up with
Shred and purge. And this event is gonna cost me $125. If I was gonna put a big old event on myself, that's $5,000. If you're a brand new agent, it's $75. For me, it's $125. Invite all of your database. Does it matter if they come?
No.
Heck no. It's all the touches you can do when you invite them to that event. Eric, you've used this every year that we've had.
Yes, I do several events per year, and it's probably one of my clients' most popular favorite. I mean, I don't have a ton come, but think about it. They have a need for it and they like the invite.
Yes, it has been successful. I do want to say that the map that we got though does still have paint and electronics on it. So make sure that you're having that conversation with your clients that you're inviting, that it does not include paint or electronics.
Okay, we'll take care of that. You fix the map.
Anyway, guys, please come do this. And this is such an easy touch. Even if you have 5 clients, guys, this is something that you want to invite them to because they will love you for doing it. You get to call them and talk with them. So guys, please put this on your calendar. It's going to be an amazing week next week. We're gonna keep leading in listings and in buyers and sellers. I'm looking for that next week. And this is, I don't know what this is.
That's KW Prep, not very good as
Okay.
far as a visual. Let me just tell you, KW Prep is part of K-Score, but not necessarily together. What K-Score is where we are giving scholarships, not free. Free doesn't indicate skin in the game. So we're now saying we're giving scholarships to individuals. That way they can get their pre-licensing complimentary, and then they would pay for their test, and then to join a company. What the KW Prep is that it comes before. We found that we need more participation. They thought free, I'll do it if I get to it. Our stats aren't looking as good. So KW Prep, what I'm doing is I'm having them complete the first 2 modules of 17 before I'll even enroll them in K-Score. What it does is it wants to know what is it compelling about getting into real estate, what's their big why, what is their plans. So you see more than, I just love to show houses. It is in depth. I watched it on Sunday morning for an hour and a half, all the modules. It's great. Even if you're an agent, it's great to go back through. And for our new agents, we're using that as well. So we tie it into Zoom Career Day, which will be Thursday. We've got a great response. Thanks to you all for referring people to us. And that is the beginning of that journey for them. They do that. They do the 2 modules of KW Prep, and then they can get enrolled in the school. So it's quite exciting.
We're excited. It brings the new people. All right, now, I'm gonna stop right here. Alan, come on up, because I know your time is right, and we're gonna sort of skip ahead to you.
I'm learning lots of stuff though.
You know, I want you to learn stuff. Okay, so Alan, come sit on, there or stand up, what you're
I
going to
always
do.
forget to not wear a dress when I'm gonna come.
You don't have to stand if you want to. So,
I
Alan,
might, just want to feel like I'm on a pedestal.
So Alan, so tell us about you. How long you been in real estate?
I
mean, you've been in real estate your whole
Hold
life
on.
because of your
So
father.
did anybody go to family reunion? Did you come to my panel?
I did.
You were there?
Yes.
Yay, so you heard
I
me
was
say
sorry, I
that.
wasn't physically, I was.
You
in-
saw it, okay.
Yes, I was digitally there.
So this is a Bobism. And
Okay.
he changed my career after our conversation. So I've been in the business 14 years, okay? Probably 15 now, I've stopped counting. But at about year 9, I was hitting a plateau. And my dad asked me, he goes, how long have you been in the business? I said, 9 years. He goes, been in the business 9 years? Or have you been in the business 1 year, 9 times?
Yeah.
And that crushed me because I knew exactly what that meant, right? So the answer to your question, I've been in the business 9 years or 1 year, 9 times, and then I've been in the business 5 years after that.
Okay, what changed 5 years ago?
I started running a business and I stopped selling real estate. So I think right now I'm listening to the Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham. Y'all heard this book?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably listening on my 3rd iteration of this book. It is so juicy. I kind of going back to success through leverage. I've had a really messy growth of my team. I'm a slow adopter of new people, and I'm learning to get better at that. I learned how to be a better leader. I think when we get into this business, we just get our eyes all starry-eyed and see the dollar signs, and we want to go crush and sell a lot of real estate. And we look up and we realize that we've been on a treadmill, we're exhausted, we don't have any systems in place, we don't keep good people because we haven't put protocols, accountability in place, and all those things. Is that resonating? Yeah. Is that you? Yeah. Okay. Look, awareness is the first step, right? So I think the biggest thing for me was literally getting very clear on the models. You guys obviously are talking about leads, listings, and leverage. These are not 3 words that y'all just made up one day. They're literally the cornerstones of your business. In order to have leverage, you need to understand what systems need to be in place, what accountability needs to be in place. And if that's just you got to decide, instead of me doing something the hard way every day, can I record what I do every day to create a training manual for the next person that's going to come behind me? Can I get Loom and just screenshot everything I'm doing, how to run an MLS, how to do a CMA, how to prepare listing paperwork, all the things, right? So we slowly just started to compile our way of doing business and hired my admin staff and started top grading my admin staff before I got big on agents. And I would say that we haven't really grown in size, we've grown in quality. And I would rather have a bunch of really high producing agents than a bunch of mediocre, not serious agents, because the person that's on my bus that's gonna not come up and create the culture that or not adhere to the culture that we're trying to uphold is gonna bring the rest of the team down. And so we've seen talent walk out the door because we've kept non-talent. So it's just,
Say that one more time.
yeah, I mean, we have seen talent walk out the door because I made accommodations for mediocre talent. So I think for me, the biggest thing that's changed in the last couple of years is just getting super clear on my standards and what life I want. But also like, I'll bring you back to this. I think before I ever talk about anything, and I don't know what you want to talk about, I have all kinds of things swirling in my brain, but you guys gotta get super crystal clear on what's enough. You guys thought about what's enough? Like, what are you guys working for? I love that you've been doing this 39 years. You might just do it another 39. There's a difference between having to and wanting to, right?
Yes, yeah.
So what is your freedom number? What's your stopgap? How do you know when you've made it? And if you guys don't know what that is, you're gonna end up feeling pretty burnt out, and end of the day is gonna come, you're not gonna feel productive. So getting super crystal clear. when you're talking about good news, I wanted to read something really quick because I don't know if y'all are experiencing this in East Cobb. I live in a very different political environment than you all might. I live in town, and that's been great. It's a choice that I made, but I would say the last 2 years have been really difficult. You guys felt that? Yeah, it's been unusual and kind of people feel angrier. There seems to be a lot more crime, a lot less houses to sell, a lot of bad news, wars breaking out, right? So I got this in my email yesterday. I just wanted to share it. It says, most people that you meet in everyday life and work and in the neighborhood are decent and normal. Doesn't feel that way, right? But hit Twitter or watch the news and you'll think that we're all nuts and nasty. This matters because the rising power and prominence of the nation's loudest and meanest voices obscure what's most of our personal experiences. Most people are sane and generous and simply too busy to tweet. So if you guys are spending your time on social media and watching the news, and you're not spending your time getting into productivity and spending time doing things that give you joy or make you money, you're going to get swept into the negativity. And the one thing that I experienced that very early on in COVID that I think can resonate with what we're experiencing now with this low inventory is, so you guys remember what you were doing when kind of COVID, everything got shut down. I think it was like November 19th or something like that. March 19th, wrong month. Yeah, March 19th. I remember that first week watching my team and all of our clients like literally experience panic, like actual panic. And so people were fearful. They're like, okay, what's going to happen in the market? What's going to happen to our livelihood? What's going to happen to our families? Are we safe? Are we going to get sick? And we started not just spreading a virus, we started spreading what? Fear. Right? And so that happened for about a week. And I realized that we were a burning ship if we kept down this path. We didn't know what the future held, right? So my coach, Kate Patulski, I don't know if you know Kate. She's amazing, 3-time gold coach. She said, we need to turn this around and you need to start spreading abundance. You need to start thinking about having a different message, right? And so every day, probably for the foreseeable future, I don't remember when it tapered off, when things maybe started to open up a little bit, we started to post daily stats on our social media on how many homes were going on the market and how many homes were selling. Because I think there was a resounding belief that everything had shut down, that nothing was happening. And so if you felt that way and you were a seller or a buyer, you were likely to do what?
Wait,
Nothing.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to let that happen, right? So while we are not dealing with the front end of a pandemic, we are dealing with the waist high problem of lack of inventory, right? So what could you guys do? You know, you even hear it when you call your fellow agents, and I don't know what the inventory is like in East Cobb, but in the city of Atlanta, it's very low, like less than a month. Like literally, we're selling 1/3 of our properties off market, and half of those we're selling to our own clients.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of stuff coming to market. But when you pick up the phone and you're calling your fellow colleague, what is the message? What are you guys talking about? You guys sharing this fear, sharing this scarcity comment of like, there's just nothing on the market. You can't find any inventory. I made 10 offers. Or are you having a different dialogue with them around what you guys can do to band together to start to create the market? So I guess I encourage you guys to think about what conversations can you be having today with your colleagues and what information can you be putting out into the world so people see that things are changing hands. People are buying homes. People are selling homes. A lot of them aren't coming to the market, right? So just some different messaging and dialoguing, I think, is really a positive perspective to bring, because right now we're having to get really creative in our market on how we create somebody's reality, because it's not going to just be when it hits the market. So I heard a lot of like my photographers backed up, et cetera, et cetera. We're not even photographing half our houses. We're just getting a listing agreement signed and we're floating it around. We're picking a price, we're putting a premium on it, and we're calling the 20% of the agents to sell 80% of the real estate. We're saying, who do you have? And that's winning us a lot of listing appointments right now because people don't want weirdos schlepping through their house. They don't want to have to make their bed. They don't like the uncertainty. There's enough uncertainty in the world right now. People want certainty, and they're looking to you to give them the confidence that you have a solution to their problem, which is, I don't know where to go. Mr. Seller, have you considered that we sell 30% of our houses off market? Actually, we have a list of would-be sellers in our database because we've called them and we said if we can get them the right price, they'd be open to moving. Let me connect you with a couple of people, right? So just think differently in this market because this is going to require different strategies for us to stay afloat. I do agree with Jim. I don't think, and I am not a finance person, so forgive me back there.
But Bob is.
I think we're reaching stagflation. We're not seeing a lot of growth.
Would you want some water?
No, I'm great. I've got coffee. Thank you. We're not seeing a lot of growth in the market right now, and people are, especially right before the midterms, I don't think we're going to see any major moves in terms of interest rates go up. So the conversation right now is that between the ages of 25 and 45, that group of people has almost tripled their net worth through real estate in the last 18 months. That's astounding, right? So who do you know that's either renting or can buy into a bigger move up house with the interest rates hovering at historic lows, even if they went to 5.5%, historic low. I remember I bought it 5.75% in 2005. I thought I had stolen my house. I mean, I was like, this is a great rate. So everything since then has felt like I'm robbing somebody. So I have a whole list of things that we do to help create inventory. I can talk about that, or I can tell you guys what's happening in the in-town market, or
Start with, tell us what's going in the in-town market.
Yeah.
We sell some there, but I mean, pretty much what you're saying going there is going on out here also.
Yeah.
Are you seeing any signs of maybe things are leaning on the market a little bit longer or having reduced things? You see anything like that in the in-town market? And define the in-town market.
I'll tell you right now, all my people are moving OTP. Yeah.
Send them here.
They're moving OTP. I'm thinking Anna K OTP soon. You know, it's in my wedding vows that if either my husband or I talked about moving OTP, it was grounds for divorce. And now I can't wait to get out of Midtown. I feel like it's gonna get torched any moment. So in town Atlanta and Decatur, kind of consider those the same. We're talking about good school districts. Obviously, there's the outskirts and close to the airport, and those are different markets. But we are not seeing a slowdown. I would say we're seeing a slowdown in terms of appreciation. I think year over year in 20 and 21, we saw between 22 and 24%, which is astronomical. Yeah, I'm sure you guys felt that here. I even know, like, up in Alpharetta and Roswell, like, it's just insane. People wanted elbow room, right? So everybody was fleeing the city away from crime, dealing with all the political everything, and they just kind of wanted to like have some space, right? So they've moved outside the perimeter. Did well for themselves. In town Decatur, I would say where we could have found 3 or 4 years ago a house for $1 million, we can't find anything under $1.5 million for the same product, right? So that's like feels like a 33% increase in some areas. We are absolutely selling a tremendous amount of our stuff off market, and a lot of people have asked, well, is that in the best interest of the seller? I said, well, it depends on what the seller wants, right? Do they value convenience? Do they value their terms? A lot of these times I'm getting these people 3 and 4 month lease backs at a premium of $100,000 over what they even thought they could get. And yes, maybe they could have gotten a higher offer, but then they're now going through this 30-day period of uncertainty. So a lot of times when people are paying a premium for an off market, they're waiving almost all of their contingencies for the most part. Sometimes we're getting a pre-inspection, so we eliminate the risk of that happening. And we're putting people in, they don't want it to go to market, right? So they're like, I'm gonna pay for this today, because like, I don't want it to go to market. Because they know 6 months from now, the price is gonna be more expensive, the interest rate's gonna be higher, and they're watching that, their money, they're watching themselves leave that money on the table. So they're willing to make some bold moves like that. And I would say we're selling about 33% of our properties like that. And then for the properties that we are going to market, we've actually won a lot of opportunities to bring listings to the market for a weekend. Because they're like, well, I want to just see what the market's gonna bear, but I don't really want to go through the listing process. I don't want to do everything you just recommended. I don't want to have to do all these things. And I say, great, let's float it to our network of agents. Let's do this 2-week pre-market conversation. And then if we don't get something that's interesting to you, we'll go to market for a weekend and we'll hold 2 open houses. We'll call for offers on Monday. And if we don't get it sold, we'll take it off the market. They'll usually reevaluate once they see those things happening. Usually they work out in their favor and sometimes they don't. But most people don't want to go through all that and then not sell.
Right.
They know, like, once we got them to that point, we commit them to a weekend, we know that they want to sell.
Yeah.
Now it's just a matter of how, right? So be flexible in your offerings, be creative in how you bring people to market or not to market, right? So we're starting to see some of our just different ways of doing things that we haven't in the past have been working really well. I'm sure you guys see this up here, but we are putting with the seller's preferences in the private remarks, and we're uploading offer instructions to make sure it's like super clear on what the seller wants and how people can win an offer. And I will say, if you're representing buyers right now, or if you're representing sellers, even more so important. Obviously, you can't do this if you get 132 offers, but if you get 11, call those agents, tell them exactly what they missed out on and why, because you're never going to help our community get better. Right? Like, there's probably the poor agent that keeps losing out and doing a client a disservice because they didn't realize that you could use option money. Right? Are you guys using option money? Have you folded that in your contracts? Think about all the costs the sellers are going to incur on moving day. Tens, 20s of thousands of dollars. What if that was a refundable option money as a part of your contract, where the client actually gave the seller that money in their pocket so they could start to spend that money before closing, and it's refundable at closing as a credit? That's going to help you stand out. That making sense?
Clarify that. So you said refundable option money.
Well, there's
So,
two.
right.
There's two.
Now, are you
The
saying refundable back
non-refundable-
to the buyer at closing?
Correct.
Obviously, everything's negotiable. Because obviously we hear option money is that check goes right in the seller's pocket. It's not even, they get it, right? But okay, so I'm hearing different sides.
So, well, there's two things. There's the non-refundable, which is like, hey, what is a premium that you're willing to just part with to move yours to the top of the stack? Right? And then the other one is if I were a seller and I was trying to move and I have to deal with storage units and moving trucks, and I don't have a relocation company and I'm short on cash, and somebody offers me a $10,000 refundable option money, I've got that money to go to work today to help cover some of my expenses.
Got it. But then
When this buyer closes, it's just a credit, it's an advance.
So is that what you're seeing, 10K? Because I'll usually put like a 1,000 or 1,500 in there.
I would do that as non-refundable. The larger the amount, I would make it refundable. I'm not gonna risk 10 grand of a client's money if we don't have certainty of close. Does that make sense? So like, I don't want that to go in addition to the price, because we're already escalating the price. Does that make sense?
What percentage of the prices are you doing for option money? So 10,000 works for what price point?
5 and up. Just depends. 5,000, 500,000 and up. But think about that. Like our like there's even a house that's $500,000 in town these days. It's usually going for $600,000 or $650,000. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's getting escalated so much that, and you're seeing crazy. I'll see stuff that's like 100 grand over, and then I'll see somebody who offers like 10 over. So there's like such a wide range in pricing. Like, sometimes you gotta almost throw out the outliers. You're like, okay, this guy feels lunatic-y to me. Like, let's toss that. Like, he didn't see the house. He's like in Taiwan. Like, just, you have to like make some judgments. But for the qualified offers, when you're doing your due diligence, for my buyer's agents to get to the top of the stack, they're doing things like the option money, either refundable or non-refundable, depending on the amount. They're ditching the buyer love letters. Y'all still doing that?
No.
Still trying them.
No.
We actually put in our offer instructions that we will not present them.
Yeah.
Fair housing.
Yeah, your house.
We're kind of jumping that one.
One more thing on the refundable
Sure,
option.
sure.
So refundable option money, if they don't close, does the seller keep it?
Option money.
Right,
on.
so it's only
But one,
refundable
correct.
back as a
But most of
credit.
these people are waiving their contingencies anyway.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
The difference is that the money goes in the seller's pocket versus being held with a broker.
Even if it's like, what if
But
it's
if
the
it-
seller's, like the seller can't close for whatever reason?
So
Yeah, but they're still, they're
What's the
keeping
answer
it.
to that, Jim?
Yeah, that's,
It depends what the contract says.
That's
If the contract says it is non-refundable with the exception of the seller's inability to perform. If it says that, if it doesn't say that,
yeah.
great question. What do you think, Michelle?
Well, I think if the seller doesn't perform, you should be able to get it back because they didn't give them the option to even buy it. Problem is trying to get it back.
Yeah.
Maybe you can leave the property. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, because we're having sellers that just go, don't think we're gonna go, days before the closing.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one going on right now.
Don't put me on them.
Oh, no, I talked to the woman for an hour. Don't bother.
We had a seller answer the door pantless a couple weeks ago. Totally pantless. We're like, hi, bud. Got those pants on. I think they can do anything right now.
I like to ask everybody this question. So how do you see us getting out of this market to where we need more inventory? How do you see us getting out of that to where we have a nice 30, 45 day supply of houses? How do you see that happening?
I think there's two ways.
Okay.
One, it is economically driven by the rise of interest rates, right?
Right.
Okay. Or two, collectively as an industry, we start to solve people's problems differently, which is having conversations around the how might they versus why they can't, right? I don't know where we're gonna go. There's nothing on the market, is all you're hearing right now. And all those people saying, I don't know where I'm gonna go, are all those buyers seller. So how do we unlock it? Are you using all the tools at your disposal? Are you using the buy before you sell homework program? Or I don't know, what's the other one, Ribbon? Yeah. Do you have creative solutions? Are you using bridge loans? Are you using home equity lines? Are you helping people, recognize that they're sitting on a lottery ticket they haven't yet cashed? Like, we have so many solutions at our disposal right now. If we can unlock the sellers, everything else takes care of itself, right? So it's about having those conversations about the how might they. That makes sense what I'm saying? I feel like we can solve the problem.
My coach said, Jim, what message are y'all sending out? He said, you're saying we have a shortage supply. He said, we don't have a shortage supply of listings. We have a database problem. He says, if your database was 10,000 people, might you find someone in your database that knows somebody who wants to sell their house? And I went, brilliant. So he said, we don't have a supply, really database problem.
And those people that want to sell are probably in somebody's database, so we have a conversation problem.
Lead generation problem.
We have a solution providing problem.
Yeah.
How do we get to unlock that?
It seems so simple, but I think we selling our team, meaning Anna Kay is an extension of my team, wherever we need to go, helping our sellers move out of town, and you can easily get them a referral agent wherever. I mean, it's just a reminder to bring that forefront into the conversation of, we've got a massive team to find listings that you can go to.
I'll tell you.
Plus our allied resources.
Mine from this week, I have a family who they have some investment properties that rental. I said, why don't you sell this rental? Because I have 3 buyers waiting for you to list that townhouse. And why don't you buy yourself a cabin? Wow. So put that money. It's like, but because my first conversation was like, no, don't sell it. This is your retirement income. But then it's like, don't you want to be in the mountains and travel? And husband has a motorcycle. You guys can just be there on the motorcycle in less than 2 hours. So yeah, they're about to go binding on a cabin, and then we're listing the townhome. So maybe people are sitting on some rental properties and they could put that money somewhere else, like Airbnbs. That will be a short-term rental for them. It will bring them some income too.
I love that. What have you guys called listing appointments equity preservation meetings?
I gotta write that down.
Seriously. What happens when interest rates go up? Demand falls. What happens when demand falls? Prices stagnate, okay? If we know that the nation's wealth exploded in the last 18 months, using real estate as their biggest vehicle for that wealth, why would they jeopardize what they've built? Why not capitalize that and reinvest it in a different way? Or on their next dream house, because if they wait, then we also know that the cost of that move up is going to get exponential. Or if it's an investment property.
But not only that, the problem that we're hearing the buyers say about, oh my gosh, I have to do this before rates go up, that will in turn become the seller's problem, because they are going to start to have to wonder, what if there were no buyers, or what if the buyers dropped off, or the amount of buyers dropped off? So the rising interest rate could cause them to want to sell now if they have the idea that it's very possible that they'll have fewer buyers.
It's absolutely possible.
Right.
I mean, it's
probable.
yes, that's correct.
Right, so the same problem affecting buyers as well as sellers.
Well, so the problem with buyers is, yes, that's right. So obviously, if we have less buyers, we have sellers that have less choices, right? They have less equity.
And they might not be as greedy. That's what, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, even in a bad market, sellers are greedy.
They are, but I mean, they have to be wondering.
Of course they're wondering, but who's having that conversation with them?
Well, I don't think anybody is right now, because they just see today.
Right, but that's our job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is actually our job, is to educate these people on what's happening. And I will tell you, the one thing, you know, my husband is, he sells bonds for SunTrust, and he kind of knows what's coming down the pipe, and we don't really always talk work or business, but the one thing I have done, which I've always kind of stuck my head in the sand, is really started to look at world news, not just because of the Ukrainian-Russian situation, but global economic factors, what's happening with our US economy in terms of the world, and like people need to understand the global picture versus like what's this micro. You need to understand both the micro and the macro. What's happening in your neighborhood and on your street, and what's happening in the world, because that's going to trickle down, right? You guys want to know what's happening in town. Does it come OTP? Well, go bigger than that. Like what's actually happening in the world, and become that economist. Understand how to talk to people in ways that have them make smart choices now. If I had a stockbroker that had some sort of trend line about a stock that I have, and he didn't pick up the phone and call me and tell me about something that was about to happen, I'd be pissed. If I bought a new car and my CPA didn't tell me about the rebate that year that I could have gotten on that new work vehicle that I got, I would have been pissed, right? So why are we waiting for buyers and sellers to raise their hands to make decisions? Why aren't we calling and educating them and giving them an option, an array of choices for their life? Does that make sense? So flip the narrative, come from abundance, ask, how might I? Let's go out there and create inventory. Let's do the things that other people aren't doing, and have the conversations that other people aren't having, and help our people build wealth or preserve their wealth.
So give an example of when you say you've got that equity preservation meeting, and you're sitting down with a seller that's kind of on the fence of what they want to do because they can't find that place to go. How would that conversation go for you?
Yeah, so I give them options. If they're really kind of concerned about where they might go, I say, look, Mr. Seller, there's a couple ways that we can skin this, right? We can go out and find your next property, because we have a list of off-market sellers or would-be sellers. Let's talk about what your needs and wants are, so we can see if we have somebody in our database that has that fit. If not, we'll go to our agent network. If you have to sell before you buy, then we'll probably do something like Homeward, which is an actual option. Or let's get you pre-approved through our lender to see if you can take a home equity line. Let's understand financially what you can do, such that we can go to work to help you find the next house. Because we're not going to have a problem selling your house, or we can go to sell your house and we can do it off market, and we can create a plethora of buyers that are going to give you an option that give you a 1, 2, 3, 6 month lease back.
Right.
So you have the runway. You don't feel pressure to make that decision. Right. So you're just kind of creating options for them. And I just tell people, like, look, we're not deciding, we're just discussing. Right. You don't have to decide right here. I just want you to know what's available to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I have a great script that I'm seeing for you, Paige Morgan. You call your 7-year-old client and say, hey, you know, I know you want to sell. 70, my age. I know you want to sell. I get that. Okay. So if your house is worth the most today that's ever been worth, why don't you sell right now? Put that money in your pocket, go rent something right now, and just rent for a year. And then when the prices come down, guess what you can do? You can buy a house, the market comes down, because a lot of sellers is most of their wealth in their house? It is. So why don't you take advantage of that right now and sell, you rent for a couple of years, and then when the market comes down, and you will put an extra 200,000 in your pocket. Or the opposite, you wait and the market goes down and you can't sell your house. Which scenario do you like the best?
Yeah, that's a major motivator. And I would have no problem saying that, but I honestly, I don't want to say never, I don't never say never, but I don't think prices are coming down.
And do I think you could be right because of the population explosion? You think you could be right?
I think the appreciation will slow. And I think there will be more options, and I don't think we're gonna see multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars we're asking and like 17 offers going from 0 days on market. I think we'll go back to a 30 days on market, and I think you'll see a 98 to 96% listed sales price. I think that will all return. I think Atlanta is playing catch up.
One thing I will tell you is that if you look at what's happened in the past, that's something that you can talk about. Here's what happened in the past. Okay, when we had this 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yep.
Look what happened. Could that happen again?
100%.
It happen again.
100%.
The way we're spending money right now, that could happen. Guys, inflation is out of control
I
right now.
agree. I agree with that.
$25 steak I used to like to buy for 2 is now $45. So guys, so could you be wrong? Yeah, but could you be right also? Yeah, if they put that money in their pocket right now, do they know they have it? Yeah. Now, could they stay there and the prices go up? Anna, great question. But give them an option, though, to say you can.
Yeah, but if I were 70 years old and I was living in my prior forever house, I would want certainty and simplicity. Sell a different vision, right? Obviously, with that money, they can go enjoy the last
Because I like what she
quarter of
said.
their life.
You want to be in a cabin in the mountains? Go do it right now. Go do it right
People
now.
are more attracted to their visual understanding of what their life could be like. Like if they don't know how they're going to spend the money, then it doesn't matter to them. But if, well, she's not there, but if you paint the picture of living on a lake in a cabin and enjoying life, you take the money that you put in your pocket, and this is the life that you get to go live.
But have the conversation.
Have the conversation. Yes.
Don't argue with me, Anna.
No, we're agreeing.
Take leader.
Good conversation.
That's a
Okay,
great
we're gonna behave.
we need to be having more conversations.
So true.
That's it.
It's so true.
Conversations, not recipe cards, conversations. Yeah, you guys are the experts. Yeah.
I guess, so to honor her time, do you have anybody in TV land have a question?
What am I looking at?
So,
Is there a, where's your camera? Is that a camera?
That's the camera. You're live. Does anybody have a question?
I do.
All right. Ed Morgan.
Ed Moore.
Hey, Ed.
How you doing?
Good.
Paige and I have gone through a bit of what you talked about at first as far as scaling down and having agents sucking you dry to spend all your time. And when that happens, you're always going to have at least one that's a cancer in the system, and they doing everything because they try to. That's kind of a contradiction of thought of what you do, what you're supposed to do is recruit new agents. What I heard they say and what we're thinking is maybe we don't want new agents. Maybe we want to simplify. Step about narrowing it down. Don't have more agents. So what's the deal? Our thinking is we can't train the world.
Well, I heard you say do two different things, right? So there's new agents and then there's cancers. And those two aren't the same thing. So sometimes my more seasoned agents become the cancer because there's a sense of entitlement.
that good talent went out the door because you were spending all your time on all the cats you couldn't hurt.
So just to, I know that I can't bite off more than I can chew, right? Like we typically can't take more than 1 to 2 new agents at a time. We only have 7 salespeople. So that's not a huge team. And I would say 3.5 of those are seasoned, like hungry. I mean, they're all hungry, but like seasoned, like and so I've elected to do what I would call like a pod leader. So I'm grooming my top 2 salespeople, one on the listing side, one on the buy side, not to be the lead buyer agent or lead listing specialist, because that was too much money off the top for things that they didn't influence. But to say, okay, we're doing our own little mini mentorship program, right? So 0 to 6, you get 10%, 7 to 12, you get 5%. You're taking somebody from 0, like brand new, I don't know how to use a lockbox MLS, to through their first 12 deals. And they have some skin in the game to train these people. And my operations manager trains them on systems and processes. And the pod leaders train them on real estate. I'm attached to your hip until I get through my 12 deals. And so it's taken a little bit. Now this is somebody, they've let the people on my team, they're earning more because of it. And they've also wanted to grow in a leadership capacity. Not everybody can qualify for that. So you have to be hitting our minimum team standard, and you have to want to be a leader. You have to want to teach. And if you don't want to do those 2 things, then you're not going to be in that role. That's worked for us. There's still some gaps, like there's still things that get missed because new is new. And that's just time over task. But the moment that the culture starts to slip as a result of it, like I've got one guy on my team, I don't know that he's gonna make it 90 days. And I know him personally, and it's tough for me because I've had to have those tough conversations. I cannot participate in your failure. And by me not having that conversation is me saying I'm cool with it.
Right.
Right, exactly right.
So
Exactly
it's about
Yeah.
having that, what is it, carefrontation?
Yeah.
Carefrontation,
So tell us about your team. 7, what were the GCI last year? Can I ask you?
3.3 million.
It was 7 people.
Well, we have 11 because we have 4 operations people, 7 sales people. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the first time we did $1 million.
And what was your average sales price?
On buy side, it was like 580. On listings, it was 610. That's up 200 grand in 2 years. And what was really interesting, and I love my team, but I was kind of, I like to shine on the dark corners. We didn't sell any more units in 2021 that we did in 2020. We made a lot more money. And that's great, but that's not sustainable.
That's the market. That's the market.
Yeah.
Because we sold more units last year in the history of this office.
More units.
More units.
Oh yeah, we did not sell more units.
We did.
We sold higher price points, which is great,
We did both.
but that's not scalable.
That's where the contrast is between ITP and OTP,
Is what?
like more units, increased price, like that your price just increased. I mean, there's no more physical dirt for you guys to build on, to build more. I mean, there is, but there's not. So like, do you think that it's like the mass migration coming out here that it might come back to you guys, or? do you think-
Maybe. I mean, they're still building. You can believe it. They're still building.
So,
Yeah.
so I was just, I mean, my first thought when you just said you didn't sell more units, but you're obviously, you had made more, so I would think your profit, I mean, was your profit better?
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
We broke $1 million. We did $1.3 million in profit. But I will tell you, what you don't know about me is that I, maybe this trickled down through Linda. I parted ways with half my team in February last year. We went from 11 to 6 in a period of 3 weeks. And it was a brutal 3 months, but I top graded.
How do you feel now?
Oh my God.
Pretty good, right?
And you're
A different person. Yeah.
and you're fully into career visioning, I would assume.
Lot
I mean,
of career
like all of
visioning,
that, right?
100%. Yeah, the region's doing it now.
Yeah.
And I actually made a choice to get out of production last year. I sold my last house. Well, not totally true. Gary says, drink the water, taste the water. So I'll do like maybe 10 or 12 deals a year, but I stopped, May of last year, I stopped producing.
Gary sure, said, well,
Buy her.
buy
Buy
dirt,
dirt.
sell more dirt or buy
I
dirt.
love those shirts. yeah.
It is, it's a
It's
great
sold
shirt.
out
It's a
before
great
you get a
shirt.
shirt.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, we get a question.
So I have somebody who I'm helping, and it's scary to watch. It's very painful, right? Because he is a great agent, could be a fantastic leader. And he's got a couple of people who he's hanging on to, who are not producing. They're not producing. And my thing is, okay, you're treating your business like it's a friendship and it's not a business. And there's no way he's gonna let go of them because he's afraid to have that conversation. That's fear
So-
plantation. So is it
two
him
things.
as a leader or is it his people at this point?
It's him.
Yeah.
Because there's two things. Mo, I'm gonna quote Mo and I'm gonna quote Gary. Mo said in her leadership series one day, it's crazy because I had some guy that was like kind of like white lying me all the time, like white lie. And I really loved him. I was like, well, whatever. Maybe he didn't get the sign out right then or whatever. And then I went to her leadership series and I was like a person, way in the back in this huge crowd. And the only thing I remember her saying was, when you're clear on your standards, decision-making becomes easy. And then that guy sold $53 from me, $53. And I had to fire him on the spot. And I said, because if I let you stay here, I'm telling my team what I will tolerate. And I can't do that. And so by him letting these two underproducing and maybe they haven't hit their traction, if they're doing all the things, but they're not having the results, that's a skill. If they're not doing the things and they're not having the results.
And won't show up. So yeah, you're right. Won't show up when he says, show up to this. There's always an excuse, and not for the last couple of years hitting their goals.
So then he's gonna decide, is he just in the league or is he trying to win the national championship? Because if you join the national champion team, you don't not show up for practice. Nick Saban, and I'm sorry, I'm Alabama fan.
Yeah.
Kick your ass off. Right away.
Love you, but you gotta go.
Yeah, and then Gary says, I'm loving, but my standards aren't. So you're separating the person from the business. Love man, but this is my standard.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because I hear a lot, oh, we just need to love our neighbors. I'm like, well, sometimes you have to love them by telling the truth.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta say, that's not gonna get it. That's not gonna get it. You stop doing it, you get off my team. So being tough sometimes and loving them is hard also. We're all.
I'm on the fence about telling a story about Mo Anderson.
You tell us about my most coming here to choose the six.
I'm probably gonna butcher the story. So this, because I heard it third hand, fifth hand maybe. So my understanding was there was somebody in the organization, through Keller Williams, who was using the intranet to serve porn. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I'm gonna probably mistell the story.
I've not heard the story.
You have, okay, maybe we know the same story. So Mo Anderson flies this person in, I think he was a leader in the organization. I don't know who it was. Flies him to Austin, brings him into her office and sits him down. She says, hi, so glad you're here. Now, how do we get out of business with one another? Yeah, I'm totally surprised. Like, what are you talking about, Mo? You're a Christian woman. You always teach forgiveness. You need to forgive me. This is ridiculous. And she says, I forgive you. Now, how do we get out of business?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that because it's
Wow.
very clear.
Wow.
She had her standards.
Yep.
And I think we've been on the same path. Our teams have been on the same path for a long time. And there's nothing more draining of your energy than people that you have to drag with you.
Yeah.
It's just called dead weight. It's just dead weight. And you will be healthier and happier. Now, I feel like Mark Willis is a bad word right now, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Mark Willis used to do this org chart, and every month he'd pull out his org chart. Can I say this?
You can.
I feel like I'm pulling out all the bad stuff.
I still
He used to
love
pull out his org
I'm
chart.
sorry.
He used to pull out his org chart and he would highlight his top talent green, right? They
Came
are,
for.
they need to flourish, they need sunlight and water, and you gotta pot them with all the supplements, and they're gonna stay in your organization. And then you got the reds, the people that are like pimples,
Yes.
gotta clear them up, right? You're fine. And then you got the browns, you call them the turds, and flush the turds. You can do this every month to his P&L because you have to understand who are the people that that have the desire that just need the training. Who are the people that are self-motivated, who don't need the training, that are just rock stars and you just need to keep nurtured? And who are the people that no matter how much you pour into them are just dead weight?
Yeah.
And move on.
Move on.
Favorite word in real estate is next.
Next.
So
One of my favorite words. All right, any other questions, anybody? Anybody online have a question? Or anybody online?
Just a really quick question, in-town buyers, for us, do you suggest we reach out, obviously, to agents in town to network off-market properties? I mean, obviously, that's the move right now.
Absolutely.
So, okay,
absolutely.
you're saying a lot is sold off-market, obviously, we need to. I mean, we're doing that
Looking
here
for
too.
buyers, or you're looking for
Buyers that are looking for properties in
In
town.
town,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously-
So do you guys have broker metrics?
we do.
Yeah.
Do you guys use it?
I use everything. right.
Okay, well, I know you do.
Yeah.
Okay, great tool for agents.
Mhm.
So what we do is we go on broker metrics, and if I've got a buyer looking at a particular neighborhood price point, you can literally run a search for all the agents that of the last 2 years that sell the most real estate at a particular price point. And you can download their contact information, and I'd call these people every 2 weeks. And if you keep bothering them, maybe send them some more cookies or something. Like, just
Got it.
that, like, our agent network is
I
the
love that.
biggest thing for us right now.
Yeah.
Standing out and having a reputation of a team player.
Treat them like clients.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, so broker metrics has been really helpful for us.
And work measures on how many computers in the office, Kimberly?
Two.
Two, so it's available for you, it's there. It's two.
Oh,
We don't know about that too, great idea.
Yeah.
Work with
I need to get a hold of.
Anybody else you want? Anybody else? Have a burning question, anybody? Can we thank you?
I'm-
on all your-
Yeah, thank you.
Ask you, Bob, your dad, my very first week in the business, he came and taught the wealth building class. And so I've just, obviously, I'm a big fan of his, like all of us, and very inspiring. And I was just gonna ask you real quick, how often does Bob K come to Anna K in town?
Not, he comes every time I ask, which means that I'm not asking enough. Once a quarter, he'll come down for lunch and we'll just hang out. Not enough.
Do you have a meeting on the calendar with him? Like a recurring meeting?
Because he's traveling a lot these days. He's a man about town.
Not inviting you to come in.
Yeah,
He's in
man about town.
Alabama or someplace like that, Joe.
Yeah.
Thanks.
He's turning 80 this year.
What?
Wow.
He doesn't act like it.
No.
That's for
Our
sure.
looks
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, 80. Yeah, proud of him. So
Thank
thanks
you
for
for
saying that.
coming.
Yes, of course. Thank you guys. And
Will you come back and get out?
of course.
Let's give her a hand. Or thought of the week.
Oh, God, it's so dull compared to what we just listened
No,
to.
it's not.
I'll follow that with.
Right.
Yes.
No,
Pick it up in there.
what we're gonna do, the same thing, lessons learned. I have a little scenario. I want you to answer. I want you to hear this and tell me what's wrong with this picture, okay? I'm gonna preface first by saying, how many of you are using right to repair? Okay. Sometimes, okay. And there's reasons you do and there's reasons you don't. But I'm gonna quickly read to you and tell me what's wrong with this picture. All right, we know the verbiage. Number one is buyers shall have the right to ask the seller for repair or replace defects, things that obviously are health and safety issues, correct? And so there is blank days to do so. How many days, I mean, typically you would find in there? Let's just make up something.
Five.
Five. Okay, we'll go with five. All right, then, okay, so now we have 5 days to do what? To get a report done.
Right.
And then what are we doing during that 5 days with that report?
Negotiate.
What are we doing first with the?
Oh, we have to review the report for actual defects and anything that is
And who are we
structural.
providing it to?
We don't, at that point,
The seller.
Seller.
The seller.
Okay.
It says
Right.
right in the contract, so if you're gonna
Yeah.
use this, you wanna make sure you're doing it correctly. Are you using, okay, you've got the report, are you using, an ATAC?
No,
No.
it says you can't.
Okay,
Right,
so
under
far,
ATAC.
these are good
Yeah.
answers, you all are good. Okay, so we're doing an amendment, right? Because the ATAC clearly says you can't use that for right to repair. Here's the trick one, maybe, but maybe not for my group of people. Number two, if the buyer timely submits the written amendment, the amount, we said 5 days, how many days? The buyer and seller have how many days from and I'm not gonna read the rest, what goes in that number?
Something more than
Something
five.
more than 5.
Thank you, thank you. Oh my gosh, you all are like lovely. Okay, so here was the thing, what was wrong with this picture? We had an agent, and as I began to talk with her, I thought, back it up, we're off course here, because she said that in lieu of repairs, now she got a copy of the inspection, in lieu of repairs, they did an amendment asking for a price reduction. Is that appropriate?
No.
No, it doesn't give you the right to do that. So was that wrong no, it wasn't Keller Williams agent, so that's good. And we were on the buyers or on the seller's side. But here's where we really missed the boat, is the first line said, let's pretend 5 days. The second line, that they're to send that to them 3 days. They are, you're laughing, yeah. So what they were saying is their time to negotiate or present was 3 days, but you gave 5 days. They said, their broker said that was over that period of time.
No.
It's from binding.
It's from binding. So I said, well, we can end this discussion.
Yeah.
Why? Because they had already missed the boat.
Yeah.
They were not going to get what they wanted. And so we as agents on the listing side need to know what we're working with. So we were focused for 30 minutes on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And when I said, show me your contract, I saw that. Any questions on that?
No, but it just shows that we on the seller side also have to be very mindful of what we're getting and make sure that the buyer's agent, and sometimes they're you like
Exactly.
we were at once, that may need some guidance. So just
Exactly.
be understanding, and it's our responsibility too. We're part of this transaction as
Well,
much as they are.
Exactly.
I have a question though.
Yeah.
So, you know, I stay in culture, so don't shoot me when I say this. So if I am the seller's agent, Michelle, and I get the right to request repairs, and I get that, and it says 5 days and 3 days, is it my job to call the seller's agent and say, you're shooting yourself in the foot?
It's interesting you asked that, because we did talk about that. She tried to say this isn't
Correct.
prepared correctly, and the other one argued with her and did not change it. Is it really our job?
Okay.
Who is our
That's it.
client? Who is our client?
The
The
seller.
seller.
Right, our good heart says, let's work agent to agent, win-win. So you've got to, I think if it were me, I'd go back to the seller and say, let me point this out to you. What kind of discussion can you have? Because otherwise you are not working for the seller.
Well, and then the other thing is if you have one offer on the table, it's probably in your seller's best interest to have that conversation with the
Correct.
agent. But if you've got 15, then that's a whole different, you've got to evaluate it scenario by
Yeah,
scenario.
and exactly, and if you've got 15, you are running through those contracts, and when you're looking at contracts, do you look at how they've been prepared?
Yes,
Yeah.
I
And who seems to have a knowledge?
Yes.
Would you then take the 5 day, 3 day and go, I don't think they know what they're talking about. Yeah, so you've got to put it in perspective. What I would challenge you to do, and we won't go any farther today, but I'd say, look at when you're using the due diligence but versus right to repair, know the difference. Know what you are committing to, because if you are a seller or a seller's agent and you say, I'm only going to take right to repair, that way I know they're serious. If you read it carefully, that can go on for a long time. So you need to understand that you could be taking something off the market for a much longer time than due diligence. Do you all understand that?
Yeah.
You all were so good
Can I
today.
make one comment to that, a real
Yes.
life experience that you all can learn from? So unless they've changed it in January, which I have not read the fine print, there, it says you have till whatever time to reach an agreement, right? So if it's 5 days, but then it says 8 days, and you've got that 8 days to reach an agreement. If the seller does not respond to the request and that time frame ends, am I right in saying that they have up to 24 hours to then accept the last, basically, like, let's say they're negotiating and the buyer had sent something that the seller wasn't willing to accept, and day 8 rolls around, which is what it says in the contract. They actually have another 24 hours to go back and accept the prior counter offer, which burned us because we thought that the contract had been terminated or had been expired or did not work out. And we gave notice to a backup that they were primary.
Oh.
And then the seller said, no, I want to accept the last counter. It was a problem. Yeah, so that 24-hour period that's crazy in that contract.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's changed just a little bit. It says 7 days, changed just slightly.
Okay.
But you're correct in that 24-hour period. The other thing that we didn't mention is on the right to repair. They do have the right to extend it if they need further inspection, HVAC, well, septic, things like that. So this could be like this long,
That's
happy little
right.
journey we're all going on, and you can't do it.
We do not accept them anymore.
Yes, okay, well, there she said, say that again.
We do not, as listing agents, we do not accept them anymore.
The,
And you know
the
what?
right to inspect.
So what do you not accept?
The right
Sorry?
to inspect.
They don't accept.
Right to
request.
repair.
The right to request repairs.
We advise our clients to steer clear of those.
Okay, because of the journey, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And so if I were showing Anna's listing, I might call her and say, which do you sellers prefer, right to repairs or due diligence? Do you have a preference on that?
I think for a while it was optically advantageous, right? Like, oh, they're only gonna terminate if this and this.
Right,
Well,
right,
no,
no.
it's way more than that. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so
Wonderful.
welcome. That's why due diligence came about, right? Because, I mean, isn't that why it got changed and we had that as an
Due
option?
diligence came about because originally they wanted you to do everything during due diligence.
Yeah, yeah.
Loan,
So
everything.
it couldn't be.
So you know, it's 7 days, 14 days, you had to do.
Right.
And it was a
everything
different
you wanted
market
at that time.
too.
Yes,
That
yes.
way,
Today is a really important day, and I want to give Christine to talk about what's happening next.
Thank you.
It's something great for us.
All right, so now that you've sold all these houses, you've cleared all your due diligence, you've got that nice money. Today, we're having a big focus on KW Care, so you probably all got your emails this morning in your KW email boxes. At noon Eastern time, if you want to tune in, it's donate.kwcares.org. We're trying to raise money to help build up our coffers, and there's a big focus on what we can do to help Ukraine. So please, anything you can give, I don't care if it's $5, if it's $1, everything helps. And they have some companies on board to do some matching. So if we can raise 36,000, I think we've got a company that's gonna help us match up to 36,000, but the goal is 250,000. When I looked this morning before team meeting, we we're at 65,000 already. So please, at noon, they're gonna do a big broadcast, but you're welcome to go ahead and just go straight in and donate. Again, it's donate.kwcares.org. Please do what you can. to help.
Donate.kwcares.org.
Mhm.
you
So
so
check
much.
those emails from this morning.
God,
And thank
please
you.
do that, because guys, it's amazing in those countries, because sometimes Keller Williams is the first group there for anybody else. So that, anyway, Anna, thank you again for coming. Michelle, great things, very good. Anything else at all, guys? Thank you so very much, and you are dismissed.